This is Sonic Omens, an illegal game made by fans that went viral a few years ago that a lot of people really hate because of its apparently horrible gameplay and story, and the developers having multiple sites like Patreon trying to make money off the game. So I decided to 100% it to see how bad it really is, which requires me to beat 7 intense episodes with multiple levels to unlock a super special form and collect 65 demonic rings, which led to the most brutal gameplay of my life. The game opens up with a good looking cutscene of Sonic sleeping and then being awoken by Tails because, as usual, Eggman is up to no good and is stealing the Chaos Emeralds, and as a blue hedgehog I have to save the day. So my adventure begins with a level called Wellspring that starts in Tails' house that I explore for a bit. Playing keyboard's so weird. It's a cool room. Man, I got some Netflix on. Then I start running in the woods with my eyes darting side to side, making sure I don't miss anything, especially the red rings I need. Surprisingly, the game felt very fluid. I had the usual boost ability and light speed dash, as I was expecting something worse based on the comments I read. Ooh, I found one red ring. Also finding my second red ring in a random corner of the map, and that's when I realized I was gonna have to replay levels multiple times. I already missed the first 3 in this tutorial level that for some reason is massive and has multiple pathways. So the game definitely does want you to replay area, for sure. I gotta kind of remember where I went though. Which is only the start. The future levels coming up only got more brutal. So I reloaded the level and found a ring on top of Tails' house, one underwater glowing nice and bright, and one on a cliff edge just chilling. The second level, called Chao's Paradise, opened with Tails flying Sonic past Knuckles rubbing the Master Emerald seductively, then getting trapped in a storm with flying deadly robots leading to Sonic falling to his death and waking up saved by this bracelet on his wrist that can shoot out an energy beam.
That strange energy beam coming from your arm.
Oh, this? It's from Chip's wristband.
By the way, a lot of people hate this game's voice acting. So far it sounds decent. And now I can use this bracelet to swing like Spider-Man in this nice looking beach level filled with Eggman's robots waiting for me to destroy them. I love that power from Sonic though. The homing attack. Finding an easy red ring basking in the sun, and another one on a random cliff that I reached by taking a guardrail that naturally developed in the forest somehow, and a really tough red ring that required me to swing perfectly. Oh, I was so close. I need this. There you go. Leading to me completing the level in 12 minutes while receiving a big fat D rank that luckily doesn't matter for 100%. So I replayed it and had the option to play Shadow for some reason, finding the other red rings in absurd locations like underwater while I ran out of oxygen. By the way, each of the levels in Sonic Omens has 5 red rings to collect, unlocking special content I'll show you guys later. The next level though, Dragoon E0, is an exception, because after breaking into Eggman's old laboratory, a giant monstrosity of a robot falls from the sky and starts attacking me. What is this, bro? Thrusting me into an insane looking boss fight that has missiles launching at me that I have to dodge, where then the robot takes a break and reveals his horribly designed weak point that I bash my head against multiple times until its health bar hits 0 and I win. That was actually like so surprising for a boss fight. Other than being super long, this was a really enjoyable fight that provides an item Tails can use to track Eggman's whereabouts, which starts episode 2, where 2 humanoid talking animals somehow fly a plane to the desert. Mind you, bro, I think Tails' canon age is like 8 years old. Bro's doing this at 8 years old. where Sonic jumps off like an absolute Chad and runs into a gun base, which is an international military spot he was not invited to, in hopes of finding Eggman, starting the Area 99 level, where immediately I'm warned if I come close, they will execute me. But as a super speedy blue hedgehog, I do what I want. So I break in, destroy all the robots, which probably costs a lot of money, slide under some deadly pink lasers.
There's like so much going on, it's just hard to find where the red rings are. And there's like multiple directions as well. Oh my gosh.
And spot my first and only red ring.
There's a lot going on here. Oh. I see one red ring.
Which scared me as I finished the level, because I proceeded to replay it way too many times, because I didn't see this ring in the obvious corner of the map spot, and a rail I had to go backwards on really slowly because I ran out of energy to boost, or one that was hiding behind some suspicious boxes, and the last one requiring a frame perfect energy swing I just love failing at, leading to the next level called Wild Ridge that flipped the game on its head as I'm flying a plane as Tails.
Ooh, that was close.
Which led to very nerve-wracking and oddly satisfying gameplay, where I had to slip through very tight obstacles that literally almost one-shot me when I crashed into them.
Bro, what is this? Like, how do you get through this? Like what am I looking at right now? I like time like this. Oh, I found a red ring. Is this like the first one though? It is the first one.
This honestly is an amazing design level. I enjoyed a lot, especially because most of the rings were in pretty easy to spot locations. But this is where I also found out that you only keep red rings after you pass a checkpoint. If you die with one before, you lose it and have to replay the level, which is super annoying.
Yeah. I did a barrel roll and I lost. I lost my ring too.
After that, Tails and Sonic reunite and find Eggman snooping around with some Chaos Emeralds. And I'm expecting a boss fight.
Sonic, something's off.
Oh. Damn, bro just got smacked.
And a giant demonic looking snake appears and starts chasing us, starting a level called Escaping the Gnarl, where I'm back in Tails' plane in a 10 times more intense environment, because I'm forced to fly super fast and have to instantly dodge obstacles and a giant glowing snake in a collapsing underground cave that I failed at multiple times.
Oh my, I don't even know what I'm looking at. I'm just bobbing and weaving. Bro, I don't even know where I'm going. Like, oh my goodness. Like, look at this. I have to like weave so much. Ooh. This game's tougher than I thought.
Then I escape thinking everything's done, but that was just the first part, because the second part is a full-on boss fight. That's even harder because this snake comes out of nowhere, hits my ship, and almost one-shots me. So somehow I have to dodge that and damage it at the same time, which after a few minutes of miserably failing, I realized the strategy is to directly look at the snake, shoot at it, and when it's about to hit me, barrel roll to the side. Repeating that led to its defeat and it brutally breaking apart. Thankfully, there were no red rings to collect because that would have been torture. I'm actually super shocked that this is a fan-made game. It's way better than I expected, and those hate comments I read about it are messing with my head because I feel like I'm missing something. Let's move on to episode 3, which opens up with a nice shot of the water and the moon reflecting on it, where it then pans to Big the Cat sleeping in the middle of a forest, being awoken by Tails and Sonic speeding through chasing after Eggman. Then for some reason, the international military base I broke into earlier sent robots after us, shooting at the plane. So Sonic jumps off, leading them away, starting the White Jungle level, which was also playable in Sonic Adventure 2 as Shadow. Seeing it in this revamped form was really cool, speeding around in the nighttime while it rains in these green half pipes that I think are maybe trees is extremely satisfying, because this This level was super fast paced, bouncing off robot heads and finding red rings in pretty easy to spot locations. My favorite part was falling from the sky and having to dodge pink lasers, and getting every red ring first try. Yay!
I see a red ring. I see something red flashing. Yeah, right here. I knew it. What's there? Oh, I found the last one. The last one was just right there.
The next level, Tree Palace, was the complete opposite, opening up with panning shots of the entire thing.
Interesting.
Don't worry, Tails. I'll find the emerald before these badniks.
I then take a magical blue platform down into the water, where I was confused for like 2 minutes, losing oxygen that I had to refill at these random spots of bubbles. Because what I needed to do is hit a switch to open these spiked cages around a spring to progress further, leading to very slow gameplay. This level literally consisted of me taking one of 50 possible routes up the tree by jumping on slow moving platforms. It honestly was a very annoying process, where I found random red rings that had me do dangerous maneuvers to obtain them, which was sometimes fun, like this one that had me skydiving to dash rings to perfectly time my fall into the right one.
Oh.
Lady! Here we go!
Okay. That was actually like decently difficult to get.
But the big issue with this level is that there were very few checkpoints. So when I fell like you do in normal platforming, it was all the way to the start of the level.
Let's go!
Oh.
Feeling good!
No, this level's cooked. Because if you fall, you're done. I just realized.
Luckily, the game allows you to spawn at your last checkpoint, which takes away any red ring you get after, so I have to play multiple parts of the same level over and over again, literally taking almost 12 minutes to beat it. Then I have to replay it again to get the rest of the red rings, which was again in the corner of the map, another one in a random hollow tree you can easily miss while taking one of the many pathways, which has Big the Cat chilling in it, frozen like a statue. I guess there was no budget for animations. And the last one was chilling on the side of a wall that you have to sprint fast on to reach, which I failed at and fell to the bottom of the map. Yay!
Bro.
This level was horrible. Let's move on to the next one, called Waterfall Chase, where Sonic finds a nice yellow Chaos Emerald at the top of the tree, but then water spawns out of nowhere and now I have to outrun it, which is absolutely cooked because I can't stop moving, otherwise I drown. So getting this first red ring floating in the air required a lot of drowning, until I luckily bounced on something and flew right into it. Then I hit a checkpoint which luckily saves it for me, which really didn't matter because that's the only one I found. This was a super short level with multiple pathways, so I replayed it multiple times once again, trying every single pathway, sometimes coming up short and others leading to rings just floating there, which I will say made trying to 100% Sonic Omens way more difficult. I love how the game is designed for replayability, but it makes my job way harder. This level ended with Sonic reunited with Tails, and the Chaos Emerald I got randomly started glowing super bright,
Hide the emerald, Sonic!
Tails!
which causes a malfunction with Tails playing for some reason, forcing us to crash into the forest.
Holy. Damn, I just crashed.
And then it cuts to Shadow, watching all of this occur starting episode 4. That cuts to Shadow walking through this automatic door looking like a boss, starting a level called Gun Arsenal, with me dashing a Shadow through a cool looking tunnel, who by the way is my favorite Sonic character. This entire level was essentially a training simulation for Shadow, and a tutorial for me, teaching me all his abilities, which for some reason he has a bunch of them compared compared to Sonic, like Chaos Spear that allows me to shoot energy blasts, or Chaos Dash which allows me to dash in different directions like up where I found my first red ring, or the amazing ability Chaos Control which slows time. I don't think it's even arguable, Shadow is just simply better than Sonic. He skates, which is way cooler than running, and he has a broken Chaos Blast ability which I used in this room full of robot enemies to explode energy outwards to destroy everything. And because I really took my time exploring every nook and cranny, I found every single red ring, most of the time in the usual random corners of the map, and one on a very fast spinning disc, completing this level in a record time of 17 minutes. Holy goodness. Then a cutscene opens of shadowy human figures, a part of the International Military Force, Gun giving Shadow orders to stop Eggman and Sonic, ending with a random robot hand and face that is clearly evil telling Shadow not to fail, which then opens up with Shadow being his usual cool self, doing tricks on his bike, casually destroying Eggman robots with lasers.
Okay, we got some egg bots. Wasn't Sonic like just here though? This guy got so much aura, holy!
And just to flex on me, calls his girl Rouge, flirts a bit, and then for fun he destroys his bike. Sadly, Shadow's voice acting is horrendous.
Yes, Rouge. Continue tracking my signal. I'm on my way.
The hate comments may have been right. I then started the moldy jungle level, which is apparently called that because the jungle is rotting and has really toxic areas, that when I enter with Shadow, I literally have toxic spores entering my lungs, so I have to quickly exit these areas to avoid a brutally painful demise.
Where did this damn fall come from?
Yeah, the voice acting's horrible. I'm sorry for Shadow.
Overall, this is a pretty cool looking level. A lot of the last few have been in the forest, so I'm getting kind of bored of it, and this one didn't really have anything special apart from these platforms that I had to move around by activating switches on giant Knuckles statues, leading to once again very slow gameplay, which I'm not the biggest fan of when it comes to Sonic games. I found most red rings on alternate pathways that were trying to hide themselves, but it made them obvious to see. Apart from one very annoying one that needed me to do a homing attack to these floating plants and then Chaos Dash in the air perfectly and then Boost Dash with perfect timing just to land on a platform.
Ooh. What? They put a Lord of the Rings ring right there, okay.
The next level shows Shadow walking through the forest, coughing because he has literal deadly mold in his lungs, and somehow has a green Chaos Emerald I never saw how he got. He then falls to his knees, gets hit with a flashback of a girl reaching out to him, which is definitely Maria, then falls again through the floor, dropping the Chaos Emerald which lands in the middle of the forest and creates some type of crazy looking moldy forest boss.
Oh my goodness, what am I fighting?
Starting the level, the Vortex, where green orbs of toxic get thrown at me that I have to run around and dodge, while worrying about my oxygen level going down that I have to replenish in these bubble areas, where initially I ran around like an idiot for over a minute with no idea what to do, and got destroyed until I jumped on a green mushroom and then a target popped up. So I spammed my jump button and smashed into the boss's eyeball, and then it clicked. So I did more head to eyeball smashing until the boss reached half health and the second phase started, where a bunch of toxic water started rising, so I quickly escaped to the surface.
Alrighty.
This is taking long enough. It's time to end this.
Entering the second phase where the boss did the exact same thing, throwing green toxic that I dodged.
I actually really like these boss fights.
And then I jumped and smashed my head against its eyeball until the game went to a cutscene of the boss not defeated, but instead Shadow takes off his rings, which limits his power to flex on me by dashing across the screen to one-shot the boss himself. So the struggle I just went through was absolutely useless. Wow. Shadow then enjoys his victory by looking at the horizon where he spots Eggman flying towards somewhere, which happens to be where Sonic and Tails are knocked out from the plane crash the game showed earlier.
Damn. Bro took the emeralds. Like, what are we doing here?
Where then Sonic conveniently wakes up right after, panicking because Tails is still knocked out. Then Shadow comes out of nowhere, starts aura farming by talking to Sonic without facing him, calling him trash and weak, so they argue and then start fighting, until Tails stops them by shooting warning shots at Shadow, giving time for Sonic to go after Eggman, which annoys Shadow, so he fires his laser beams at Tails.
Damn. Bro, did bro just off Tails?
Foolishness.
He just blew up Tails. Oh, he didn't. Okay.
Episode 5 then starts, which around this time I took a break and forgot a bit of what happened in game. This level is called United Railroad and it's supposed to be played as Shadow, but the game gives you the options to play Sonic, which is what I went with first. It opens up with me running through a hollow tree and then jumping off like a crazy person, falling from the sky in this beautiful shot, and then quickly grabbing this conveniently placed vine to avoid falling to my death, landing in what looks like an abandoned railroad filled with Eggman's robots and a well-placed hidden red ring I quickly grab. So far, this is one of the better designed levels. There's conveyor belts that give me temporary paths to run across or alternate routes of rings waiting for me to find. This weird camera angle section though was by far the worst. It felt very awkward staying on these falling platforms while being super fast and tiny on screen. But these next sections I really enjoyed, filled with loads of flames waiting to cook me into a nice hedgehog meal, with me running straight into a dead-end wall, finding the last red ring by a spray painted duck on the wall. For some reason though, the level didn't end after that. It kept going for 5 more minutes where I had to do these annoying bounce jumps on multiple platforms.
This stuff was cool. It's just long as hell, bro.
And then land on a train to dodge obstacles, deadly traps, and eventually reaching the end. And now I'm getting the feeling that these levels are way too long. I feel like they could have been broken into multiple parts, especially since I replayed it as Shadow to find the last red ring. I think I almost spent a total of 30 minutes on one level, which is kind of insane. And that led into a cutscene of Shadow getting another random flashback of a glowing Maria, then coming back to reality and seeing Sonic running after a giant red ship in the air with Eggman inside. Then I get the amazing pleasure of hearing his voice acting while he tries to chase after Eggman.
He must be desperate. But why?
Until he's stopped by some dude named Exiled, who tells him to chill out and retreat, and Shadow listens. So pretty much everything he did up to this point, including all the levels I spent hours doing, was absolutely pointless. Nice. Then it cuts back to Sonic running at super speed, starting the level Meadow Ember, which is another boss fight that have all been pretty good so far for being a fan-made game. But this one's different because there's actually red rings to collect, which is scary. After dodging some flaming missiles, I find the first one sitting nice and cozy on top of this truck. And for some reason, there's a glitch showing I have more rings than I do. Like every other boss I faced, I failed to dodge almost all their dangerous attacks, but managed to survive because Sonic rings are OP. Eventually, a weak spot opens up and I smash my head against it. Then the ship runs away and I chase after it, missing the second red ring after taking these ramps because there's like 20 of them and I have to pick the right one to perfectly get it. So because of that and no checkpoint, I have to replay this starting section of the boss fight way too many times.
Oh my god, bro. Are you f***ing kidding me?
Until I eventually get it.
There you go.
Which gives me no relief because the game decides to then throw everything at me to make sure I can die. Like, why are there 50 flaming circles blocking every path I can go through? Somehow I managed to survive and find the third red ring chilling under our truck, and the other two out in the open while I'm dodging a bunch of lasers, blue and red beams. This whole fight was insanely intense, and the crazy part is that if I died at any point, I'd have to restart the entire thing.
Okay, I got it. Holy, that was insane. That was the hardest one. Bro, look at Eggman just chilling there. Bro's just chilling, knocked out there. What?
Eggman is then arrested by the international military gun that starts taking the emeralds away from him.
The Guardian units of nations are now responsible for the Chaos Emeralds.
Until they get blown up by this demonic looking robot dude that comes out of nowhere.
You may call me exiled.
The mysterious figure that has been lurking in the shadows with glimpses of him popping up earlier in the game. He has now made his appearance, stealing and flexing the emeralds right in my face, revealing he's been the mastermind controlling everything. And to top it off, this happens.
Stop! Give them back!
There's no way.
Bro, the shadow just knocked me out.
My favorite character, Shadow, is revealed as a double agent working for Exile. Holy goodness, this game is pretty good right now. Leading into the next level called Sonic's Dream, where he wakes up back at the start of the game, and for some reason, it starts lagging really bad. As I make my way forward until I reach an opening with a figure standing at the end, talking about how the Chaos Emeralds connected the worlds together, which will now lead to a better future. I literally have no idea what this dude's talking about, but then he turns around and it's revealed to be Chris, the character I remember from the Sonic X series I watched as a kid. But I swear this dude is supposed to be a kid. And now I kind of understand why people don't like this story, because this came out of nowhere. And it gets even worse when episode 6 starts, where Sonic wakes up, meaning what happened before was a dream, in a dark room with Tails and Eggman, where surprise surprise, we're now all working together to take down the big bad boss, Exile, who wants to destroy the world like a typical villain. Eggman then goes on a whole 5-minute speech explaining what's going on. Essentially, Chris was working for the Exiled, not knowing he was a bad dude. And because Chris is from a different reality, he had to travel through dimensions to Sonic's world, which shortened his lifespan, causing him to pass away. The game goes over that so quickly, and now Sonic, Eggman, and Tails have to save the day. Visuals of the world destroying itself are then shown, and Knuckles is still standing by the Master Emerald, chilling like nothing is even happening, starting the Weeping Rift level, where I'm back playing Tails with Sonic on top of the plane.
Now I'm working with Eggman. Oh my goodness.
In a crazy looking purple place that pretty much consisted of a bunch of deadly things looking to provide me a bad day. Like these moving lasers that got worse and worse as the level went on, because they can just one-shot me and almost cause me to rage.
Yo.
The good thing about this level is that the red rings were pretty easy to find. As I learned, it's much easier for me to take my time to really search for them than just replaying the level over and over again and almost going insane. Flying through perfectly carved out tunnels in spinning spears while attempting to avoid these massive flames.
Bro, I got one shot by flames.
Then I reached the last part of the level, which opened up into a clearing where all of a sudden, Eggman pops up and gets grabbed by a giant bird that splits his ship in half, and he seemingly falls to his death, which he probably didn't. And now the bird's after me, with the only way of staying safe is to speed ahead and reaching these safe haven tunnels that block it from grabbing me, completing the purple level in 16 minutes. The game then cuts to Shadow ore farming on a cliff. Then he turns around and a glowing ghost version of his childhood friend Maria is floating there, with him extremely confused, starting the boss fight that makes 0 sense, but I will admit it looks really cool, with all the lasers and glowing deadly circles trying to delete me.
I'm like weaving so much. Ooh.
I quickly figured out staying at the edge of the level and running in circles will avoid almost everything. And then after a bit, these glowing robots appear where defeating them takes down the boss's health. I did that 3 times in a row and won.
Ooh, oh, okay, I did it. That was nuts. I actually really like the boss fights in this game. They're like intense. S rank, nice.
After that, Shadow is entranced by Maria, and then her eyes start glowing and he's lasered in the face by Exile, who is apparently putting visions in Shadow's brain, tricking him into believing Maria was gonna come back to life. Honestly, this game went in a very random direction I never expected. The story is now cooked.
Damn, look at Shadow fighting. So man was gonna blow up the world for Maria. Is this guy cooked? It then cuts to Sonic and Tails flying to the big bad villain's fortress, where Sonic hops on a missile, Tails shoots out, using it to open a pathway, and then he flies in like an absolute boss. Starting the Citadel of Lotus level, with Sonic running and me having to weave left and right to avoid obstacles, until I reach this area with giant gaps and these floating water balls I have to homing attack to cross over, avoiding the usual pink lasers that I think have been in almost every level of this game, and one of my favorite parts about Sonic, defying gravity by running on the side of walls, with Exil's evil robot minions waiting for me. And that's where I find the first red ring. Then I jump over these weird electrical wave things and destroy this reactor I have no idea the importance of. Eventually reaching this clearing where I swing with my energy whip and notice two random floating water balls on my right. So, thinking they look weird, I attempt to reach them, failing a few times until one attempt where I perfectly time it and get close enough to perform a homing attack, proving that these water bubbles may lead somewhere. So after almost 10 minutes of trying, I finally get a good attempt reaching this platform area that I climb and find a red ring, which may have been the hardest one of this entire game. The rest of the level had an underwater section where I had to homing attack to more floating water balls. Other than that, there was a bunch of other boring stuff that took me 15 minutes to do, which is insane by the way, until I reached the last part of the level, which involved even more water balls. I used to travel in the air where I managed to spot a red ring at the very top, and after a few tries, I managed to swipe it, eventually reaching the end of this brutally long level that I finished in 31 minutes, which I think is my record. And the best part is that I had to replay it because I was still missing the last two red rings I needed for 100%. Finding one hiding underwater from me, and the other one which was also underwater but locked behind a cage that I had to do some super complicated puzzle by hitting a bunch of switches while making sure I don't run out of oxygen, but at least all the red rings are done. I'll check out whatever the extra stuff I unlocked after I complete the story. The game then hits me with a cutscene of an injured Sonic walking towards Exiled, building some type of portal with the Chaos Emeralds that he activates, and it starts destroying them. But Sonic manages to swipe one, gets attacked and doesn't get hit, but still drops the emerald somehow. Sonic grabs it again because bro is super fast, starts fighting Exiled, gets grabbed by his super long hair, which is a weird ability, and gets thrown into a wall, breaking it and probably shattering his little hedgehog back. Exiled then grabs Sonic, goes on a monologue talking about how he needs to destroy the world to open a portal back to his home, which he reactivates. And it looks like he's gonna win until Shadow comes clutch, throwing a Chaos Spear into the portal, causing it to malfunction. And then for some reason, it looks like a bunch of Chaos Emerald essence flows into Sonic's bracelet, giving him plot armor, turning him into Super Sonic.
Consider this your bad omen.
Where he seems to be overpowered but then gets speed blitzed and knocked out of his form. Starting episode 7 and the boss fight, the Exile, that instantly taught me how to enter Super Sonic, which was this whole boss fight, running around, building up energy to 100% by attacking these water balls and evil robots, while simultaneously avoiding Exile's glowing attacks. One was a laser that I had to essentially outrun until it stopped. Another one had him prop himself in the air with his hair, and then he starts glowing and then smashes to the ground, creating a wave I had to leap over, which were all pretty easy to avoid. And when I reach 100% energy, I could turn into Super Sonic, which stuns him, and then I smash my head against his eyeball, which was extremely satisfying. Doing that 3 times entered me into a cutscene of Super Sonic absolutely destroying him. His mask is damaged, and it's revealed that he's actually not a robot, but some type of giant long-haired creature that somehow still beats Super Sonic and is now standing on him with his foot. Exile then goes into a monologue talking about how it's futile, you will never win, you know, typical villain
and stuff, and then plot armor allows him to grab his bracelet and turn into Supersonic once again, starting phase 2 of the boss fight, which is pretty much the same thing, but Exiled is more aggressive, jumping around, flinging glowing yellow things at me, and the strategy I found that worked is to run on the edge of the level in a circle, jumping to dodge when I needed to build up enough energy to stun the boss, and then I smashed my head against his chest this time.
Nice.
Winning and getting this nice cool shot of Supersonic raising his tiny fist up, where surprisingly I got a B rank. Sonic then flexes his win over Exiled while he passes away. Damn Sonic, that's cold. And then Sonic grabs his bracelet and starts breaking it for some reason the game doesn't explain, creating a massive glowing explosion that washes over the world and seemingly fixes everything. Time passes and everyone is now happy and chilling, and Eggman is revealed to not have perished by the talons of the random bird that destroyed his ship, and Shadow meets back up with his girl Rouge for some fun time. The ending shot of the story being Sonic at a grave for Chris, which still doesn't make sense to me. Ending the story mode, which has now unlocked a few things for me.
Supersonic unlocked. Sonic can now turn into Supersonic form on every stage. Just like, well, give it a try. Yay. So I can just go super here. That's so funny. I can just go super right here.
Becoming absolutely busted and better than Shadow because he gets nothing, and I can stay in it as long as I have coins, being able to move faster and even use an explosion ability. The last things I unlocked were extra lore from the red coins for each of the levels, and getting 065 gave me a special message from Chris to Sonic, and that's Sonic Omens 100%ed. A game that started off really strong, and then along the way things got weird, story became random, and gameplay was sometimes really brutally long. But overall, it's a decent game, especially for being fan-made. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.